Hello. What is going on? We are back. Sound Design Hangout. A podcast where we don't just talk, we also make things, make music, design sounds. It's specifically called sound design because sound design is a whole aspect of music production, specifically modern music production that's made within a DAW, digital audio workstation like Ableton Live. And doesn't really matter what DAW that you use. People always say the best DAW is the one you use. I use Ableton. I got it. It'll be my 10-year Ableton anniversary next spring. So that'll be big. So I basically, as I'm sure you know if you've watched a lot of these, I just stick to pretty much all Ableton stuff. So like we're in this instrument folder right here. That's where all the synthesizers are that you would just drag and drop here into the session view. So we've got this electric, which is a physical modeling synthesizer. And what we're going to do today is something I haven't done in about a month and a half. In fact, I haven't even worked on any of these things in about a month and a half. So I don't know. I'm assuming it'll sound good like everything we do. But I wanted to start with electric, but I want to then move on to tension and then finish with collision. So you got to stick to the end if you're all you care about is collision. But all three of them are physical modeling synthesizers, so they're a bit different than the traditional waters of synthesizers we work with, like ones that have all, the filters, the LFOs, which there can still be like LFOs and like maybe you can add a filter, but physical modeling is a bit different. So we're going to start with the one that gets used the least, which is electric. So we've got our MIDI track open here, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm recording here, which I am. Okay. So we've got this electric, and what you're hearing out of the electric, and by the way, if you push Shift Tab, you switch these views, if you didn't know that. And then I'm also going to push Command Option I just to get rid of that input-output panel, which you could also have done by clicking on this I/O over here, just to simplify things a little bit. So we've got this electric, and I'm going to go to Audio Effects. I'm going to go to EQ and Filters, drag and drop an EQ8. Can really just leave it here. You see this pole one, it's just cutting out a lot of the lowest lows. In fact, I'll make it a steeper pole, take it into 50, because we shouldn't really hear any frequencies down here anyways. But just in case they do come through, they're just cut out because you don't really want that. It eats headroom. I'm going to double click just to minimize that. And then I'm going to go to, and again, I'm just setting things up for our sound design. I'm going to go to Dynamics and drop a limiter, which just means if any sound peaks above 0 dB, it'll just knock it down, which will just save our speakers, and we won't hear insane sounds that'll crush us. I'm going to drop a compressor too. This is just what my compressor looks like. Just a ratio I like somewhere between like 2 and 3. A little bit of threshold here. It would normally be like here, a little bit of threshold, just to sort of like knock things down, like an attack of maybe 10 to 12 milliseconds. So the compressor doesn't start until 12 milliseconds, which allows more of the transients through, maybe a little bit more release. So I'm going to minimize this as well, even minimize the limiter, not that we need to. And we've got electric. So if we play a note, it's the default electric. So we've got these little sections, and each time, just like operator and analog and really anything, each time, so right now you see hammer. If we click fork anywhere in here, this bottom display updates. So click damper and pickup, this updates. And if you see these little graphical displays here, like see this is blue while we're on this damper thing. If we click fork, this will turn blue. So this is the fork. And then this is the hammer. And so how a piano works, which electric is trying to physically model an electric piano, which if you don't know much about electric pianos, they're really cool. They have a very interesting, unique sound. A regular piano, your typical traditional piano is actually what's called an acoustic piano, just like you would have an acoustic guitar. You also have an electric guitar. What's different? An electric guitar has electric pickups. It's got pickups, which are like electrical coils that amplify a signal, and then those voltages get passed through, the cable, and that goes into an amplifier. Now, electric piano's the same thing. You've got this pickup, that is taking this piano that operates like a traditional piano with hammers and forks, and it gets amplified by an electrical pickup, which is what gives it its unique sound. So in a piano, all pianos, you start with the hammer. Now, it looks like it's upside down, but what happens is when you hit a key or you push a key, you're like lifting up a fork, wherever key you push, it lifts up the fork, and when you drop it, it will hit like a fork that or you could think of it as like a bar or something, like a bar, and then that thing resonates, and that creates a sound, and that's basically. And then if it's an acoustic piano, the piano is designed to ring out those beautiful frequencies, harmonics. But with electric, it's now that vibrational tone and signal is being picked up by an actual electric pickup, which gives it these amazing sounds. So let's play a few notes. Sounds very dry, doesn't it? So you don't have to do this, but let's go down to reverb, resonance, and let's just drop the regular reverb on here because I just want like a little bit of a reverby tone. Now over here, dry, wet, this is going to be a big, don't get psyched out by these reverb devices. Essentially all you need to really know is like dry, wet, and decay time, because that has like the biggest effect on the sound. So if dry, wet is at 0, you effectively don't hear any reverb. It's just like before. But let's slowly bring it up. I just want it to like ring out, and this decay time is, bring it all the way down. So whatever sounds you want. You might just like want to throw up the decay and have like big electric piano chords that are. So listen how different that is. Let's, by the way, and another way is you can like bypass by hitting this top left button that just turns it off. Same chord. Okay? It's just nice. Now that's a little bit too much. I don't need that. I just want a little bit, not a whole lot. I'm going to lower the volume a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to, so like when we were working with like operator, analog wavetable, it kind of moved from like the left to the right in this device. It kind of does as well, at least the way I like to think about it. So right now let's like play with this hammer. Now this hammer, we've got stiffness and noise. So when I was playing with the reverb a second ago, I was hitting notes, and I'm hitting notes on my keyboard. If you're hitting you might be using an actual MIDI keyboard. When I record these, I prefer to be able to do everything on my laptop, including playing the keys on the laptop. This little yellow button up here, you want that on. Otherwise, if you hit keys, nothing will happen. But yeah, so I just want to let you know that so you can do that. That's what I prefer to do when I record. So when I was doing that reverb, I was hitting notes while I was turning things up, so you're like auditioning it and you're turning it up and down to get that sweet spot. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to just like have presets do it for you. You want to be in control of your sound. So similarly, I'm going to adjust these hammer parameters. and I'm going to tweak it until it sounds good. So I'm going to stick with stiffness and noise. So I kind of actually like it there. Now noise. I don't want it to be like too aggressive. Now, velocity and key, that's how much it will respond to changes in velocity. But when I'm playing my computer keyboard, every note I play gets output with 100% velocity. So I'm going to come over here to Midi Effects. I'm going to drop a velocity on here. And I don't really care too much about these parameters other than random. So it's just going to randomize every note I play. So at 0, nothing's going to be happening. It's like we bypassed it. So I'm going to click a bunch of notes. And right now we've got velocity assigned to stiffness. We've got velocity assigned to the force, which we're going to adjust the force amount. And then noise down here. There doesn't appear to be velocity to route to noise, but there is a key. Now, key is like velocity. So velocity is going to be modulating stiffness. So if I hit a low velocity or a low value comes in, it'll be quieter, or the effect will be subtle. But if a louder note comes through, or like you on your keyboard hit the note a bit more harder with more velocity, it will have more of a pronounced effect. So with velocity off, I'm just going to hit a bunch of... Now you have to have something here. So if velocity is 0, it doesn't matter. Stiffness is always going to sound the same. 50 seems aggressive, but let's just see. Right now velocity is bypassed. I'm going to hit a note constantly. You're going to hear it's the same. Then I'm going to put velocity. You're going to see there's a little bit of movement. It just makes auditioning these sounds a bit more musical, more human-like. So right now... it's the same, but let's put the velocity. Let's see how it changes. Got to give it some random. It's a little bit too intense. I don't want any, so I'm going to adjust this output high and this range. I'm going to bring it down, and I think we can leave it here. Listen, see how there's changes? Turn velocity off. Turn back on. So that just might be a thing you might always want to do. Now again, you have to have a velocity parameter here. I'm just going to put this on 30 because I think it's a little bit too intense. And I'm going to play with this force amount. Noise. No, we don't need to mess with the pitch, but I do want to play around with decay. But it's the decay of the noise, so maybe that doesn't sound good. All right, we're going to move on to fork. Now, before we move on to fork, you've got the I think we've been actually, over the last couple of SDHOs, we've been really playing around velocities, so I think you guys may know. I would say just start from this SDHO and work backwards. We do a lot of like velocity stuff. If the last one is more sound design oriented, I don't know if there was one where we were 2 or 3 where we were doing a lot of velocity stuff. Key is another way to add a modulation to the notes you play. And so what this key means is the higher up you play on the keyboard, the more the effect will be. So if key is jacked up all the way, higher notes will have more of the effect. I don't play with it too much. The reason why that exists is because sometimes you might apply some key mapping either to the filter or to the pitch of what you're playing, because on like some stringed instruments, which a piano is a stringed instrument because there's strings that get hit in the back. But in any kind of instruments, a lot of times, like when they're all tuned you can look up, I think it's called equal temperament if you want more on this. But like as you move higher up, the relationship between the pitches isn't quite 1-to-1. It starts like stretching as it gets higher up. And so you would achieve that effect with like this key mapping, which you can then map to other parameters. So like it's just interesting what you can. That's why we love sound design. So let's move on here. I had no idea we were going to spend this much time on electric, but there's probably a reason for it. So let's go to fork. So now things. So we got time down here, and then we got tone. So let's play with time. This is all preference. So like I'm getting a brighter tone, which I like. Brighter tones, more harmonics. It rings more. It comes through more. I'm really just going with what I like, but you might want a darker tone. Let's, I'm gonna make sure we're not clipping here. You would see it down here if you were clipping on limiter. Okay, so let's go back. I like decays. Because I like when things ring a lot. Damper. This is going to be a big one. So damper is, the big thing is pickup, okay? And this type R and W, this is R, that's W. I'm going to keep it on R. You could put it on W and then go back and adjust all these settings and get like a different type of a sound. Damper, so we're going to first just pick up because that's going to have a more of an effect on our sound because all this gets passed through an electric pickup. If there was an electric pickup, it wouldn't be an electric piano and you wouldn't get the electric piano sound. If you're curious about electric pianos, you can look up the Rhodes piano, which is created by Fender Rhodes piano. When you hear it, you're like, oh, and you'll always hear electric piano when you hear it on a lot of songs and stuff. I'm not hearing a lot of difference. So listen how different this sounds. I like it up here. Just damper. By the way, what damper is so like you played it. You got your fingers. You hold down a bunch of notes, or just one note, doesn't matter. And when you hold it down, the fork lifts up, you release it, then boom, and then it rings, and then there's like some sort of a damper that kind of like muffles it. Like imagine if you're playing a guitar and you like ring out a big note, and then you like lift your hands, your fretting hand to like mute it. That would be like a damper. So a damper is not necessarily what I go to. Like when I design my sounds, I want them to ring as much as possible because I like to be able to just like tap some notes and have this, because I like those kinds of sounds. So adjust this to your likings. I'm not getting too much change here. Pickup is going to be the big one. Distance, how the distance of the pickup, this should have a big this is a little bright. This global thing, if we want to take the semitone. Oh, you can't do the shift down arrow. So let's take it down an octave. By the way, you want to know what sounds good with electric? Phaser. So drop a phaser. Drop it before the reverb. I like to put it on hertz and listen to this. And I'm going to put the dry wet all the way down. Let's bring the dry wet up. Let's go back into these semitones. Put back to one. Maybe let's give it more dry wet. By the way, too many high-pitched frequencies. It's hurting my ears a little bit. Maybe yours too. I'm going to put an auto filter here. And I'm just going to cut out the very abrasive ones. And the reason why I use the auto filter instead of the EQ8 is because I don't want to, I save the EQ8 more for like sound, like final sound processing after I've built my sound, then I use EQ to basically just remove abrasive, harsh, brash is brash a word, frequencies, but that's like later. So anyways, hear that? Want to play with the center as well. Let's turn it off. I'm going to lower this volume a little bit. So ready, listen. But then we put it on. Ooh, that sounds beautiful, doesn't it? So that's pretty cool. Final notes on electric. Final notes on electric is you're really just trying to find a sound that you like, okay? You really can't, no matter what you do on electric, it's going to sound like an electric piano, okay? Now, you can definitely have fun tweaking a lot of like random stuff, and like you might get a very unusual sound, which is cool if you're going for that. But for the most part, you really can't do, it's going to sound like an electric piano, but that's precisely the point. So what am I trying to say with that? What I'm saying is have fun with it, because it's not like you have to know much. You just turn these knobs until it sounds good, and it's always going to sound like an electric piano. So let's insert another MIDI track. We're going to turn off the record enabled, so when I hit a note, we don't hear it. And now we've got this MIDI track over here. So let's go back to instruments. Now we're not going to go to collision yet. We're going to go to tension. It is another one of Ableton's physical modeling synthesizers. So physical modeling synthesizers, you can, by the way, drag and drop the tension onto an empty MIDI track. You can drag and drop a tension or any event anywhere here. Or you can have a MIDI track open, and then if you have it selected, you just double click. I think most of you know that, but I would just say it. I'm just going to say it. Cheers. How was your day? Oh, glad that got sorted out. All right, so now we got tension. Now, before we get into tension, we've been working with physical modeling synthesis. Physical modeling synthesis is like, I guess you could say, like one of the newest forms of synthesis. It seeks to mimic physics of things that are physical. So like, what does electric do? It seeks to use maths to mathematically represent the dynamically changing physics of an electric piano. So is that an electric piano? No, it's a bunch of math that was put into form by coders and mathematicians and audio engineers to give you a wonderful, customizable electric piano sound. If you were so lucky to know it even existed and knew a great channel like this, by the way, subscribe and like if you do like this. Yeah, I know I have a small channel, so when I say smash the like, you're like, no one's seeing this anyway, but if anything, it makes you guys see it more, the people who actually watch it. And big ups to yourself because you're learning a lot. So now we're on tension, okay? Tension, don't get scared by all of these knobs. See this little area? First of all, let's just click some notes. Okay? And right out the gate, I need, it sounds very dry, okay? Audio effects. In fact, I'll show you something. I want the same damn reverb because I just want a basic reverb. You know I love hybrid reverb, but right now, hybrid reverb's great because it's the reverb that I use for sound design. What do I mean by that? when I sound design, meaning I want to take my sound and I want to give it a character that I would get from something like a hybrid reverb. It's going to give it its own unique character. But I don't really want that. I just want a reverb. You know what I mean? So that's why I like this reverb here on electric. So what I can do is I can click on this reverb and hold Option and drag it over to tension. Okay. So now I'm going to minimize these guys. Drag the reverb before here. Not that it matters. Now I've got the same reverb. So before with reverb. Kind of annoying. It's a little bit too higher pitched. I'm going to bring this in. I'm just cutting out some higher frequencies. Sounds much better. Okay, wonderful. So we've got sections again. We've got the excitator section, which that's always going to be on, because if you turn the excitator off, you're not going to get any sound. So this is your big section right here, excitator, and then string right here. You literally don't have to worry about this damper thing, which, by the way, see how damper's off? You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about body. You don't have to worry about termination. Honestly, these velocities and keys, you don't even have to worry about, although we will add a little bit. In fact, let's just add 10% to all of these, just so we get a little bit. Actually, no, because the max is 16. So let's just do like 2. So, and let's go back to electric, and let's do the same thing with velocity, just so we don't have to set it up again. Okay. So again, turn off velocity, hit some notes. Ooh, did you hear that? It sounded totally different because we added these velocities. But we don't want crazy velocity on everything. I'm going to lower the master volume is right over here. Lower it down. Okay, that's really loud. Very, very loud. Had to lower it a lot. Now listen. Velocity. Of course. By the way, we're going to do some like guitar and bass guitar tutorials because yes, I actually do play instruments. And one of the first things I would do if I was actually like teaching guitar would be, or bass, is literally just plucking a string. So if you've got your pick on a guitar, picking up, down, and just noticing how each time you pluck that string, it's not like don don don. It's like don 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 don. There's there's dynamics, right? So that's what we're getting with this velocity. Now, so we're not going to worry about any of this other crap. We got plectrum, which plectrum, this is plectrum. It's a pick. Why is it called plectrum? Well, because that's the formal name of pick. Hammer. So what is tension? Rather than just being like, there's too much to learn, let me make it simple for you guys. Tension is seeking to physically model the physics of stringed instruments. So what kind of instrument would you play with a pick or a plectrum? A guitar. Wonderful. Let's move on. Hammer. See how that's different? By the way, I'm going to go to dynamics. EQ filters. I'm going to drop and just take out some of those extra highs because they're hurting my ears. Hammer. Just like electric. The hammer goes up, the hammer hits. Wonderful. Hammer bouncing is basically, so the hammer hits, that's it. Hammer bouncing is like it hits. Now, I find you hear more of the effect of hammer bouncing if you hit, when you go to hit your key, if you hold it down. So right now I'm just going to go, ding. Sounds the same. Go back to hammer. Sounds the same. Go to hammer bouncing. Sounds the same. But this time we're going to hold it down. So yeah, you can play around and get your good hammer bouncing sound. I don't really care. I'm either going to be messing with plectrum or hammer, and then Big Daddy Bo. Now, Big Daddy Bo, wow, that sounds really weird because like Bo is actually a name of a person. Typically people named Bo are like from Louisiana or like down south in the US. Yo, shout out if you're from Louisiana. What? I don't know why I did a bad English accent for that. So anyways, this thing is really loud. So I'm going to turn the volume all the way down. Bo is just weird. You basically have to tweak all of these settings. You can get very interesting sounds. Bo is meant to be, you know what I mean? Like, just, you can get some interesting sounds, but I'm not going to dedicate, I basically flip around between plectrum and hammer, and we're going to bring this back to where we were. I think we're at like negative 10 dB. Plectrum, now hammer. Hammer just sounds more aggressive, but once we change all these things, so I'm able to just stick with plectrum. And so now what are we going to do? Well, we've got these knobs up here. These knobs up here, let's change them till basically we get a sound we like. We don't really need to know about protrusion, stiffness, velocity, position, damping, although we can kind of just infer what this would mean. So let's tweak protrusion. I think what protrusion means is like when you have like your pick in your hand, like I think it's like how like far down you would like pick it up, you know, like how much it's protruding below. I just want to get something that sounds good. Stiffness, that would mean, I guess, the stiffness of the pick. Velocity. Be careful with this one. In fact, I'm going to make this one go to 1. The position. Damping is, anytime there's like a damper, it's kind of like dampening. So like if I strum a chord, you know, if you ring a chord and then you like kind of like you let the strings rest up. I can't remember what that's called, but it's damping. Ow. I don't really care that much about it. But the big thing is a string section. So let's play with the decay. No, thank you. Good. Ratio. Not doing in harmonics. In harmonics is just going to play with the pitch and give you inharmonic partials to your sound. I don't need that. You know, you can turn it down. Sounds fine, but it is. What actually is cool is you can put an LFO to just slightly modulate that, but so if you want like more of a palm mute sound, this damping, this has a big effect in a good way. Actually, hammer's sounding better than plectrum. Let's just run with it. Like, that's a very interesting sound. So now, because we're doing sound design, of course, I'm going to go to Midi Effects and drop a pitch because I want to know what it sounds like an octave down. So shift down arrow. Do it again. All right, now we just got a cool sounding bass. But I'm going to take it back up, even though I like it better down there, because I want to play with these other sections for you. So let's go to body. The next thing I would mess around with is, so termination is like how you terminate the string. So the string is playing, how does it get like terminated, and in what way? Because everyone who plays a stringed instrument is gonna like play it differently. Maybe they have a heavier hand, maybe they're, you know what I mean? Same thing with dampers. So like I'm gonna use those sections, if I even use them at all. I'm going to use them last after I've dialed in excitator, dialed in string, and then the other thing is body. It's almost like we're giving it a resonator. Oh, and then also pickup down here is cool. So because we're on a hammer, the hammer, which probably you're going to find on a piano, I'm going to go to XL because I think it's just like a larger cavity. So we're going to turn it off and then play it and turn it on. Now, I don't think you get anything until you move decay. Now let's change it from XL to small. I'm going to push the arrows. I'm going to keep it on XL. Now, this string body, I don't know what it means. It probably means the string's length in relation to the body. Because if you guys know, for instance, if any of you play a bass guitar, tell me if you play a bass guitar in the comments. I've got a Fender P bass, a Blacktop, which is a Blacktop edition, which is a Fender P bass, but like the pickups are humbuckers. So I've got like dual humbuckers. It's really cool. I love it. You'll see it soon. So like, as you know, with the bass guitar, a full scale bass, a traditional bass, I think it's like 41 inches from like bottom to top. But then there's also like smaller basses, like which is called like a short scale bass. So I think that's what this means. I don't really care if I'm right or wrong. I just want to know what it does to this sound. So this body, so if you think about this hammer, what would the hammer be playing? It would be playing some sort of, I don't know, maybe piano type thing. And then the body says, let's give it a resonating like body. So like, let's play this here. I like this better. Low cut, we're just going to remove some of the lower end frequencies. Now let's go to guitar, see if it sounds better. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not hearing its effect too much. So let's go to damper. I'm going to go quick through these because it's either going to make my sound shorter, which I don't really like, shorter and quieter, which I don't like, or you can play with. I found that like damper and termination can be good to give extra punch to your sound. So let's just play it. Without. So if you like that, that's cool. Maybe like you want something weird like this. But now my thoughts is, what the hell does this sound like pitched way down? Yeah, not very good. So yeah, I mean, I just play with some of this. So like, I like it down here because it's punchier. Punch, punch. A lot of times, like, you'll make decisions based on like, oh, I need more punch. Okay, what gives me more punch? Beautiful, but let's turn it off. Yeah, I don't really need it. So you don't need it. You don't always have to use everything. And then this termination without, with. Give it a little velocity. I actually like termination much better than damper, but here's the big one. Remember we had that pickup where you're talking about electric? Well, we got it down here. I'm gonna play without and then add it. Listen how like richer it got because it's adding harmonics. When you get the, yeah. Ooh, I like it up here. Listen how we got more bass frequencies. Okay, so now let's, why don't we just go throw another phaser on here? I have a feeling phaser might sound good. And we can, chorus could sound good too. Let's do chorus first. You know what I'm saying? Turn it off, minimize it, throw a phaser flanger. I just like the way phaser sounds. Turn it off. Just a little bit. Wonderful. So let's wrap it up. Tension. Let's wrap up tension. This is going to be a good one. I really hope people find their way to this because, like, you know, I mean, I haven't used any of these in like a month and a half. And so, like, every time that's really the important thing, guys, is to not give up and just keep doing it. And if you can, like, break it into easy to understand pieces, you have someone like me basically giving you shortcuts. So, you know, you don't have to get intimidated by this stuff. So, tension. It's You can think of it as like modeling some sort of guitar, some sort of violin, some sort of piano. Obviously, if you're wanting more of a guitar sound under excitator, you would select plectrum, which is a pick. If you want something more like piano sounding, you would do hammer bouncing, and bow would be more like any sort of thing that you would like bow. So, and anytime you can just, hammer sounds good. So now let's try plectrum. Okay, that's more interesting. Maybe you like that more. And then you can go in and start adjusting these things. To be honest, when you start, the only thing that's going to be selected is excitator. Do that one first. Then dial in the string settings. Then add the body, because the body is going to give you like a extra resonating quality, which I can't imagine you wouldn't want. It's very subtle. And then I would probably add the pickup, because right now... Give me some body. We need more decay. Pickup. Damper, I would do damper last, then go to termination. I like it. Like, that's very interesting. And I'm going to turn phaser flanger off. I think coarse was better. Ooh, nice. Just a little bit less on the dry wet. Love it. Let's move on to probably the most used, which is why I've saved it for last, probably the most used physical modeling synthesizer. I feel like, and I could be wrong, but someone who is the aspirant of the sound design DAW, loves Ableton, wants to really know these synthesizers, you're going to be playing around with analog, operator, sampler, simpler, wavetable, most. And you probably think of like tension, electric, collision as like the lost arts, the dark arts, which is so silly. But if you are going to use one, I feel like most people are going to come around to collision. So let's drop this collision in here. And I've probably paid more attention to collision. So I'm going to try to go over this one quicker because like I'm starting to get tired, my voice. But I think this was amazing. Like this might be like my favorite SDHO. So right out the gate, you know what? Let's go do our little thing. We're going back into tension here. We're going to select reverb, option drag it. Just for a little bit of extra reverb. Like that just sounds too dry. Reverb. Wait, I'm on the wrong track. Make sure you're on collision. Turn the reverb off. Turn it on. Need more. Turn the dry wet up. It's really helpful, like, as I've said many times, dry wet and decay are going to have a big impact on your sound when you're playing a synthesizer and you're tweaking this reverb or anything. Hit the notes or have like a MIDI track playing, right? You don't have to always be playing notes, but like have it either be playing notes or have your friend be playing notes. In fact, that's what like a lot of like electronic musicians would do. Like they would actually have hardware synthesizers. And when you've got a hardware synthesizer, you've got your keys and you've got all of the knobs, like the knobs. And it's, unless you're playing with one hand and dialing the knobs, if you want to play with two hands, because maybe that's like the sound you're working on, like you would have like one guy playing the keys or one gal playing the keys and then another person's tweaking the knobs. And someone's like, "Hey, put that filter up a little bit higher over there." Sorry. Like, put that, I don't know. I was going to try to do a different voice. So here's the thing, guys. Collision. Let's minimize EQ8, minimize compressor. Now here's the thing. We got mallet and we got noise. I'm going to add some noise. And I'm going to go to tune, shift it down an octave. Sounds kind of weird. Let's do it again. It's just... I like the way that sounds. So I'm not going to go as in-depth into collision because I've done it a lot and I would just watch my collision video, to be honest with you guys. I want to go quick through this because if I give the same level of detail to collision as I did tension and electric, which electric and tension, I needed to give more detail because I'm less familiar with them. People are less familiar with them. I've finally gotten to a point where I can be that detailed with electric or tension, but I know collision a bit more. I've covered it more, so I'm not going to go as in depth. But you already know if so you got these two resonators. If both of these are off, you're not getting any sound. Okay, so you have to have a resonator, and the resonator is going to be one of these. Beam sounds very similar to marimba. By the way, it changes down here, just so you know. Marimba. Beam, it's very similar. Now we go to string. Now we go to membrane. Membrane is going to be like a drum membrane. Sounds like it, huh? Plate can sound similar to membrane, but it's going to be a bit different. See how it sounds so darn similar? Kind of. Pipe and tube are very similar. Ooh, tube. And you've got all these settings. So decay, just like you would think. But now the question is, where's the velocity? Because I think decay should be routed to velocity. You know what I mean? Because think about it. Like if I hit a tube and I go, little velocity, ding, the tube should go, bah. But if I really hit it, it should go, bah. So where's velocity? I truthfully don't know. I mean, we're in the resonator tab here, so we're learning this together, folks. Now I know where the velocity is. Actually, where is it? Probably got to go to the MIDI tab up here. Uh-oh. So resonator 1. So we have to assign velocities. See how we have resonator 1 here? So resonator 1 decay. That sounds good. Let's give it some velocity. But we won't know because unless we are hitting notes and velocities are changing, we won't know how that really sounds and if it's doing exactly what we need it to do. So radius 1 decay. That sounds really good, doesn't it? By the way, if you change radius, collision's great, guys. By the way, you can always push Command Z to go back. So let's click our tension or electric, click on velocity, option drag into collision, turn velocity off, and let's hit some notes. Now let's put velocity on. Let's go over here to MIDI. Okie dokie. So we've got resonator 2. We're not going to worry about that for this one. We know we like tube. In fact, I'm going to lower the decay a little bit. We know we like tube, and we're going to stick with tube for this one. But tube and pipe are very similar. So which one do we like better? I liked tube better, but look at this opening down here. See how it's blue? When we go to tube, it's not there. So I'm going to go back to pipe, and I'm going to adjust this opening and see if I like how it sounds better than tube. Otherwise, I'm going to stick with tube. Let's see what this sounds like pitched down more. Look what we can do. Oh, never mind. I thought there was like a filter envelope that they give you with tension, but that's tension. Okay, never mind. Check this out. Let's make it really sound like something crazy. Let's make it really sound like a guitar or something with like a lot of distortions. Go to drive. Let's throw some overdrive on here. This might get crazy. Dry wet 0. bring in the effect. Who thought we would get this sound from Collision? And we barely adjusted any of these settings. By the way, if you guys loved that, please just watch the videos, thumb them up so they pop up when I do put them on. Keep watching. Let me know what you like. Say hello. If you're contemplating between smashing a like and... That's so dumb. Why does everyone say smash a like? You pretty much have to, I guess. If you're contemplating between smashing a like and writing a comment, write a comment because I will respond. I guess just tell me what you've liked or enjoyed or something you learned from watching one of these sound design hangouts. I'm going to wrap up Collision because I love Collision. We barely had to do anything. We got this sound. So let's take a look at our Collision. Wonderful. I absolutely love that. Now let's listen to our tension that we made today. Let's drop it down to more bassier frequencies. Do it again. Wonderful. Now let's listen to our electric we created. Yeah, okay. Let's see what it sounds like lower. Drop that pitch. You got it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Closing, we didn't do closing thoughts on Collision. So, by the way, as we note, you have to have a resonator. It's going to be on one of these things. Obviously, which one you choose will change the sound. Pipe and tube sound very similar. Beam and marimba are very similar. Membrane very much sounds like a drum. If you're going for more of a drum sound, go to membrane. Plate can sound kind of like membrane, because it's like a large surface that you're striking. I guess with the membrane, it's supposed to be more of like, like a bongo kind of stretched over like that sort of material, whereas like a plate might be more of like a harder metallic kind of a thing. String is supposed to be like, okay, it's like a, think back to tension, what we were just doing, and then beam and marimba are very similar. So if you don't have a resonator, you're not going to hear anything. Similarly, you need to have a resonator, but you also have to have mallet or noise. So if nothing's here, you will not hear any noise because something has to strike that resonator. So let's play some notes, make sure we're record enabled. Nothing. But if we click mallet, wonderful. Uncheck mallet, nothing. But if we check noise, wow. And we can have both. So what will we do, guys? Well, in your mallet, adjust all of these settings to find something better you like. If you love the sound the way it is, leave it. Noise, same thing with noise. Oh, and then a special trick, which may not be, if you want a really cool trick, if you come into noise, if you push out, I think it's release. Listen to what happens. And hold a note down. No, it's not delete. It's not release. It's sustain. That's the hidden secret in Collision. So you adjust the mallet, adjust the noise. You don't even need the mallet. You don't even need the noise, but you need one of them. You need to have a resonator, but you can have two resonators. You can modulate with these LFOs, or you can simply just go to audio effects and drop your own LFO, which you would find here under modulators. By the way, we'll take a look more at envelope follower and shaper. And then MIDI, that's where you can route your key mapping, velocity, and then other velocity parameters. Over here in the, well, you can choose the voices. If you want it mono, the volume, global volume, and we'll sort of leave it at that. So this was an absolutely amazing one. I knew the next time I knew I was going to have to start getting into the physical modeling synthesizers because I haven't done that in a while. You know what I mean? It's been a while since I've done that. And so the way I work with Ableton, the way I work is I'm always trying to like better my skills, better my sound design. Because when you're working in this like digital, electronic, synthesizer heavy, synthesizer driven, digital audio workstation, music production suite, Ableton Live, even if you're, routing your guitar and your bass guitar or your violin into an audio interface and you're recording actual instruments, you're still processing digital signals that can then get manipulated with all of these effects. When you're doing all of that, your sound is very important. You know what I mean? And so when you have all of these tools, it just allows you to do really great things. So I hope you enjoyed that. I needed to get into physical modeling, and I figured it would be a good challenge and a good opportunity to just cover all three. I have no idea what I'm going to do in the next tutorial. I'm not really running out of ideas, but I feel like I may cover drum synth next, which is like really easy. I might also go through packs and see what sort of interesting things come with Ableton Live Suite. I might also move upstairs to my like music studio, which is where I kind of do my guitar playing, bass guitar playing. It's my other setup, so I'll figure out how to record up there, and maybe I'll do like guitar bass stuff, play with Guitar Rig. So I hope you enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun. I hope you learned a lot. If you learned a lot or just learned one thing, tell me about it or put it in the comments. Follow me on social media. My music is in all of my artwork on Instagram, plus my artwork is on there, which is 3D art, which I do have some videos. I will teach some of that. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to start teaching things. For now, I'm just doing what's fun, because sometimes just doing what's fun is a lot more important and better for your spiritual, emotional, mental health than like doing what you think you need to do to like accomplish a goal sometimes. Anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go. One love you all. Take care.